There's no time for hurt feelings as this Auburn basketball team looks to rebuild and try to get back to the Final Four.
In the world full of podcasts, he's the undisputed heavyweight champion of hot takes, an Auburn sports homer, master of the boog, and message board legend. Get your buttons buttoned and your hats flattened because the Top Button Podcast is about to kick off. And you don't want to miss your courtside seat. Now, here's your host, Charlie Five.
Yes, sir. We're back. It's another episode of the Top Button Podcast, bonus edition with my man Ben Taylor from the Auburn Network that we do every Tuesday. And we're ready to talk about this Final Four disappointment. But hey, we can't sulk anymore. Can't sulk any longer. It's Tuesday. You got to get over it, and we got to rebuild this roster because there is a lot of work to do. And then we're also going to talk about A-Day. What do we think about this 1 hour window that they're going to let us, grace us? Let them grace us with their presence and watch them stretch and do stuff like that. And then how long is A-Day actually going to even be around anymore? So we'll talk about that here in just a second. But before we do that, we got to give a quick shout out to Uncle Keith's Red Sauce. Go to UncleKeith'sRedSauce.com. Use coupon code TheBarn25. Take 25% off your order. If you love salsa and you want to try it with a little Southern kick, you need to give Uncle Keith's Red Sauce a shot. Go to UncleKeith'sRedSauce.com. Save big. It's good, y'all.
Kyle.
Yes, sir.
Are you heartbroken?
I am, but I can't hide from it. I am definitely heartbroken, but I don't have time to sulk. I can't just sulk forever. It's time to move on. And honestly, I'm probably unlike a lot of people. I love basketball, but it's not my first love. Basketball is what I do in the off season to get me to football season. But I do love the recruiting aspect. I love the roster building aspect just as much as I do with football. And that's what time it is. We got to rebuild. We can talk about it, but it's time to rebuild.
I will say this, when it comes to the Final Four, and I mentioned this to Daryl too, the people that are complaining, can't close. This is a moral victory. Final Four is not a moral victory. Okay.
It's a victory.
It's a victory. I mean, that's a victory lap. There's a reason they give you a banner for going to the Final Four. There's a reason you get treated like a king at whatever city you're in during the Final Four. It is the elite of the elite. And people need to cherish the fact that, and also I love these people that are going, moral victory on the Final Four. And I'm like,
they don't watch basketball.
I was like, this is the second time in the history of the friggin' program that we've been.
Well, the thing is, when you go to look up a team's like Wikipedia page, you know what it shows you? It doesn't show you how many it does show you how many national championships they've won, but that's not it. Like you see Elite Eights, Sweet 16s, Final Fours, all of those because of this crazy tournament that's like one of the best sporting events in the history of sports, and we all love it because of the format. It is a huge achievement to get places. Like if I give you a coach's resume, like let's just say Bruce retires and you're going to go find another coach, and you say I got a guy who's been to I got a guy who's been to 2 Sweet 16s and 2 Final Fours. You're fired up. If you got a coach that gets to if you have a coach that gets to a Final Four, you're excited. You can't watch basketball the same way you watch football. No, it's not just Auburn being Auburn. It's quite opposite of just Auburn being Auburn, because if it was just Auburn basketball being Auburn basketball, we wouldn't even be in the tournament talk. Like we were joking, and we're being sarcastic and pretty ugly to some people that were saying some stuff like that on Twitter and on, message boards and things like that. They were like, yeah, I got an idea. Tony Barbie just got fired. He would never lose a Final Four game. He would never lose a Final Four game. That's because he would never get there. He
would never be in a Final Four game.
Yeah. So, or he would never, lose to, losing a Sweet 16, or we just wouldn't go. Like, let's just don't go. If we're going to be mad that we get to the Final Four when you're in the company with like UConn and Duke over the last 6 years of teams getting to the Final Four. It was incredible, man.
It's disappointing, but That was one thing Alabama friend had asked me. Well, it's Doug that I visit with, that I visited with or will visit with a little bit later on today, on Tuesday, on his station out of Montgomery. And he said, will you be devastated if Auburn doesn't get to a Final Four? I said, disappointed, yes. And he asked me this a few weeks ago. I said, devastated, no, man. Once you get past the Elite Eight, I think that's like you're playing with great. That's house money.
Yes.
I mean, that's not. No, that's a different ball. The teams that are involved in the Sweet 16 and the teams that are involved in the Final Four, I think that there's a sense almost of relief when you get to Final Four weekend. Am I disappointed? Yes, totally disappointed. Wish we would have beat Florida. Would have loved to have seen Auburn play on a Monday night. But then again, going back to Saturday, I don't know who takes away more. Yes, Auburn was not picked to win, so they got beat by Florida. But I think more people are talking about Duke choking against Houston than they are Auburn losing to Florida.
I mean, it's hard. I mean, what do you do when you got a guy who said he's in the only other company that's with him as far as point production in the Elite Eight and Final Four games is Larry Bird.
Yeah.
That's the only person who scored more points in the Elite Eight and the Final Four combined, or actually not even more. He tied Larry Bird. Like they're the only two people that have done this. He goes off and you feel like you guarded him as good as you can possibly guard him.
Yeah.
He got hands in his face. He's hitting fadeaway threes and driving on your best defender and getting and ones. When you had to hit shots, you just couldn't hit shots down the stretch. And that's kind of what cost Auburn. But there's absolutely nothing. Anything past the first weekend is a successful season, especially when you've won the conference outright, the hardest conference that there's ever been in the history of basketball. If you're a basketball fan, you talk to any big basketball school, they're wanting to get past the first weekend. And if they can get to the Elite Eight, like you said, that is a heck of a season. You're fired up. And anything after that is a bonus. And that's the way basketball schools view it. And Auburn is not necessarily a basketball school, but they're just as successful right now as some of the bigger basketball schools. So that's the way we should act as well.
Yeah.
Not this whole Bruce can't get it done. Like I saw that a lot.
I'm so sick of hearing that.
Like you could be the dumbest person on the planet if that's your take that Bruce can't get it done.
Definitely the dumbest Auburn fan on the planet.
Like who do you go hire? Who do you I mean, you're right. You're right. Bruce can't get it done. You pick the next guy that's going to get it done at Auburn. Who's that going to be?
Yeah, it baffles me. And you could tell, honestly, you can tell who the people are new still watching basketball.
Yes.
And the new fans that haven't sat through, they may say, oh, I was there in the Barbie years. You weren't watching. Everybody gave up on. The rest of us were sitting in the stands watching us get our rear ends plastered during the Lebo and Barbie years.
There's definitely some value to that. Like, but I don't even think you have to go to. I don't even think the conversation has to be framed around. You can't criticize Bruce because we were so bad. Like, I don't think like anybody's immune to criticism, but the criticism is not, hey, you're missing when your criticism is we're losing in Final Fours. You've lost the argument. If that's what you're mad about, you've kind of lost the argument.
If you want to criticize a game plan or an execution or the fact that, look, let's call it what it is. I mean, due to injuries and due to some people not turning out like we thought they were, Auburn only could play 7. We thought they'd be playing 10 all year. They didn't play 10. It caught up with them in the Final Four.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, now they got to go find. If he wants to play 10, he's got to find some folks.
Yeah,
and we're Kyle, I got to be honest with you, we're kind of half stepping right here because the Final Four eliminated us from being able to pick up some of the early people in the portal. And some of them have made some decisions already. Even though we made their list, our staff has not been able to recruit them like they possibly could have, if you were another team. So you got Janai, Dylan, and everybody goes, well, Dylan, great for the team, moral, defensive prowess, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, but having 2 big guys down there is a huge thing. And if Bruce can get that again, you'll see some similar success in the next couple of years.
Sure. So the only two that you feel really, really good about coming back are Darren Scott and Tahad Pettiford.
Yeah.
Chad could come back, and he probably will. Ja'Kai Howard, I don't know what they're going to do with Ja'Kai Howard.
I don't know what Ja'Kai Howard's going to do.
Yeah, I don't know that he knows what he's going to do either.
Has he hurt
really
his
good
stock with his attitude at the beginning of the season?
Oh gosh,
As far as what everybody, like people looking at him, he may not be getting phone calls like he may have wanted.
I'm sure that it's going to be, there's going to be coaches that are going to be a little bit, hesitant to want to just go all in. He's got all the physical attributes that you could ever ask for, all the athleticism to be an NBA player. But I mean, my God, man, you're almost derail the whole season getting in a fight on a plane, going to going to the very first game. So it's just there, you just don't have a ton coming back, and you got a lot of work to do. I like the guys you got coming in, but even the guys you have coming in, you're still going to need some help. You're still going to need some help with some more proven talent at some of those bigger positions, power forward, center, because basically all you got is you got a Darren Scott who's kind of locked in to be the Dylan Cardwell moving forward for one season, and he's cool with that, and he'll probably be pretty good at that. And then you got true freshman Sebastian Williams-Adams, who's really more of a 4, not really a 5, but a good player in his own right. Hey, freshman, big guy, it's going to be tough. So got a lot of work to do. And like you mentioned, you've already missed 2 targets that you felt really, really good about, that you had to balance showing some love and then game planning for the Final Four at the exact same time. That's with Flory Badunga and Yaxel Lindeborg, I think is the way you say their last name, both choosing.
You did way better than I would have done at both of those names.
Yaxel choosing Michigan, and then obviously Flory staying at Kansas. So you got some work to do.
And that's the thing, is it's going to be no rest for the weary. I mean, I know the staff, they got to, as you just talked about, recruit your own roster a little bit. Plus, they got to go out and hit the portal and recruit some others. I still think Bruce does what he's done the last couple of years. He's going to try to find that upperclassman somewhere that is maybe not happy, or maybe kind of on an island because maybe the team has gone out and got 4 new freshmen. So that upperclassman may want to go to a place that he can possibly win if it's pieced together. So we may see, or somebody that's underused, like Bruce was able to get out of Kessler, who came from North Carolina, who was here he is playing in the pros now, but when he was in North Carolina, nobody gave him a shot. As a matter of fact, the coaching staff told him, you're just not going to play a lot. And then he came and became an All-American at Auburn, and now you see what he's doing in the pros, and a first-round pick. So that's why it takes that eye that these guys have got. And I know they've got their targets that we're not hearing about. That's just the way it works. They always come up with a surprise or two. But it is moving time as far as that is concerned.
You added Keyshawn Hall from Central Florida last week, right before the game. He actually went to the Final Four. I think that's pretty crazy. He committed.
I saw that. I saw.
He committed and then went to the game. And I love his size at 6'7", 235, and he's listed as a guard. That's crazy. Even though he's more of he's probably a 4. Isn't that what he played? He could play 2 through 4. I think he's got the ball skills, ball handling skills, shooting ability. Shoots well over 35% from 3, and he can drive to the hole. I think he can do. I don't know that we've had. I tried to think of a comparable player, and it's really had a guy that I actually played golf with this past week, and he had a really good comp. It's like Alan Flanagan, but without the attitude, like
and
that.
The turnovers.
So it's kind of what you're getting, a little bit bigger Alan Flanagan, but without maybe the attitude. So I would be welcome because obviously Alan had all the athleticism to be great, but there's definitely some work to do. And I assume there's going to be a ton of fireworks and a lot of movement this week because the portal closes. So in other words, you don't necessarily have to be committed somewhere, but you have to be in the portal by, I think, April 22nd. So you got what? Today's the 8th. You got 8. You got 2 weeks basically. So to get it done. So a lot of work to be done in a short amount of time.
I will say, you mentioned Alan Flanagan. My old roommate and I, we were like, let's take bets on how many turnovers we see out of Alan Flanagan. Yeah. Even though he was great. He was a great as far as adding some defense to the lineup. But man, when it got time for him to bring the ball up the floor, I was like, oh my goodness gracious, what are we doing? So I'll get off that. Speaking of turnovers, let's cut down on those on football season. Yeah, and I think we'll do a little bit better. This is the week. This is 8-day week
Yep.
Is it really a day anymore? It's
Not
a
really.
practice on Saturday. Kyle's going to be at cheer competition.
Yes, I am. I'm cheer dad this weekend.
So he's cheer dad this weekend. But I don't know what to take from this. Part of me is like, I'm totally okay with this just because I've always thought that spring games were kind of stupid anyway. I thought spring practice was more important so you could get guys work and get guys reps because when it got game time, it turned into the glorified Pro Bowl where it was touch football and that kind of thing. How long before we see A-Day, or not A-Day, but spring games go away and it just turns into glorified spring practice and a fan day? Come meet the players, meet the coaches, take a tour of the facility, include baseball tickets with it that weekend to go to both to meet the players on fan day and then walk across the street to watch a baseball game. Like how soon before that happens?
It sounds like this may be the last one. Legitimately, like it sounds like spring may be done completely after this year. I think all the coaches are lobbying for it. It doesn't make as much sense as it used to, and that's because your roster really is not finalized until after the spring portal closes, and also after whatever true freshmen are left that weren't in early enrollees enroll. So like why would you have a spring practice? Why would you have a practice and dedicate any time to like really building your team? That's what they say, spring is the time that you really build your team when, who knows, 10% of it may not even be on the team anymore. The way the calendars work now, it doesn't make a lot of sense. And then you're also spending a crap load of money on these guys. The last thing you want is somebody to get hurt. Like this is you're coming off being done with games in like December, and if you go any further, if you go into like the playoffs, you're looking at into January. Bowl games are into January. Right after that is when typically if there's surgeries or procedures or things like that, you're having those done, and then you're turning around. And that's another thing. You're turning around and trying to have a spring practice, and your roster may not even be done, but you probably got a bunch of guys healing up and trying to get healthy. Like, for example, Auburn's trying to break in a new offensive line, and you got your big offensive tackle that you brought in from Virginia Tech, Xavier Chaplin, who has a labrum surgery as soon as he gets here. You got Darrell Robinson, who's a running back you're looking at to possibly, be able to challenge to be a starter, who's had a foot issue right when he got here. You got Connor Liu that's got a nagging injury. He can't. Your starting center, he can't play right now. So this is really should be a time for like healing and working out and everything. And just like the NFL in the summer, as you get closer, you can kind of start, maybe putting some pads on and doing some OTAs and things like that. I think this is probably the last year. There was an outside shot where I thought maybe, just maybe, we would get a game, like an actual game in spring, like a real spring game, like against another school.
Yeah, but since Colorado got denied that, I don't.
They shut that down. They shut that down pretty quick. So that may be now. You could still maybe do one in the summer, I guess, after OTAs or something like that. But even that would be kind of risky. So I think this is probably it for A-Day. So if you want to go enjoy your 1 hour practice window, I'd probably take advantage of it because I think you may be done after this year.
I think they're going to come up with an alternative because I told you from a tourism aspect and
I'm sure there'll be a fan day. There'll probably be a fan day.
Well, they already do that in the summer because they include volleyball, soccer, football, basketball if they're in town. Last couple of years, I think basketball's actually been off, like doing something. And so I'm kind of curious, but I think from a tourism standpoint, they're going to have to do maybe 2 fan days, maybe a football only fan day. In the spring or something, and then do like a combo fan day a little bit later on in the summer, or at least right before fall starts.
Or really publicize or really pump up like that alumni flag football game. Like that's something I think that could be a lot of fun if it's done correctly. And
you know what? Put the pads on them.
Yes.
Put the pads on them, and let's go. I think Taquillo would hurt somebody still. There's no
Oh,
doubt in my
man.
mind.
There will be some broken bones and pulled hammies, and there'll be some devastating injuries in that game.
Yes.
I'm afraid. Let's just stick to flag. No, you know what? Now, after thinking about it, let's just stick to flag football.
Oh,
I
man.
think that would be fun, though, if you could really
Yeah.
pump up the alumni flag football game and then parlay that into a, like you said, a football deal, like a whole, football
Mhm.
fan celebration. But as far as the A-Day stuff, I think this is it.
I love it. Well said.
Guys, that'll be it for the bonus episode. We're going to be doing this every Tuesday. So Tuesday afternoon, we'll have a nice little chat, reminiscing over stuff that happened over the weekend. And first time Ben and I get to talk about it, and we'll just kind of move on from there. So don't forget to check out mybookie.ag. Use coupon code BARN for a 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000. And then go to roback.com. Use coupon code BUTTON20 for a 20% off deposit. Hey, you need that because that stuff's pretty pricey. It's worth it, though. I got a little Roback polo on with my Masters green for Masters Week, rocking right now. So, guys, I really appreciate it. Thanks for listening. We'll be back again soon. It's another episode of the Top Button Podcast. Stay buttoned.
Thanks for listening, and drive home safely.